We are back. You know who it is. My guy over here, Will Kramer, and your boy Sean Spencer. And we're talking about the draft. We talked quarterbacks, and as we see, it took up about 30 minutes of the conversation. Mm-hmm. It's that important to us, ladies and gentlemen. But there are other issues that we need now. Not so much, and we alluded to this earlier, Will, that there's a number of holes that were filled in free agency already, which makes our job a lot easier when we're looking at the draft, or the team's job a lot easier. Yep. So let's go right here. What holes do you think need to be addressed in the draft, and where would you what do you prioritize?
This is exactly, Nathan said it about offensive linemen. I think he's saying left tackle. You and I both have been talking about the fact that after quarterback, the next biggest, scariest spot or lack of, quality on our roster is our offensive line. They addressed some of that by bringing in Tyler Biadasz and Nick Allegretti. Yep. But right now our starting left tackle would be Cornelius Lucas. No. I don't want to go in. I don't want to draft Jaden Daniels and start Cornelius Lucas at left tackle. I don't want to draft Jake May and start Cornelius Lucas. I don't want to draft Spencer Rattler and put in Cornelius Lucas at left tackle.
I'm glad you mentioned his name, though.
So we need to address left tackle big time. That needs to be the very next pick that we get. We need to be that traditional that you see on draft day all the time when franchises that are rebuilding go quarterback, left tackle, or vice versa, or they go quarterback and running back, and or quarterback, wide receiver. Give that QB a weapon, and that's what we need to do. And I would actually like to see us prioritize this with the very next pick. And my prediction is going to be pay attention, because if there's a run on left tackles during the draft, look for Washington to package some of our second round, third round picks. Yeah. We have 3 third-round picks to move back up into the first round to go get a left tackle if there's someone that they really like. I don't think they're just going to sit back and wait till 36 to make their next pick. If there's a run and they say our starter on day 1 is there, we need to go get him. I think I could see us going back, or I'm hoping I see us go back into the first round and draft a left tackle. What about you?
Well, that's where you and I are on the same page. After getting quarterback early, getting back into that first round, if we can, to potentially get a tackle, or is absolutely paramount. It's necessary. We have to go back and get that, because I'm not going to repeat everything you said, but you were exactly right. Pairing those two would be absolutely huge for us. Now, if there is a run and maybe it goes a little bit before and we can't get back in, or can't get in the first round high enough to kind of get somebody we're looking for, we got Dan Quinn at head coach. I was telling you off in the green room, we got Dan Quinn at head coach. We got Joe Witt Jr. at corner, or at a deep cornerbacks coach, defensive coordinator. And look, we've talked about it. We've seen firsthand how Diggs and Trayvon Diggs and Bland, how they did us. How we've seen their ascension over there from literal no names to top tier, or at least cornerbacks that should be feared. That's where I think we need to go. Last year we went, obviously we got Emmanuel Forbes, that didn't pan out. But one of the things I was telling you before is that, it's not hard to see why he didn't pan out. When we had Ron Rivera, Jack Del Rio, and a high school coach, that were the guys that worked with him, not only did his confidence get shot, but they didn't. The first thing they should have done is told this man, go to the buffet and eat, and just eat all off season so you could come back 28 pounds heavier. They just did not address that. But this year, I really truly feel like if we don't get the tackle, I do think we could pick up a Nate Wiggins, or pick up some corner, one of these corners that is shot up. And I would really love to see what a Joe Witt Jr., what a Dan Quinn does with our secondary, but definitely our corners. Because you called it, Emmanuel Forbes, you were all about him. You picked it, and that's where we went last year. And after hearing him and looking at some of the footage and everything, the weight has always been the issue. But I saw some of the things that you were seeing, his ball skills and how he played the ball and how he, was able to jump routes and things of that nature. And I think if we were able to pair him with another quality corner and not just a rookie that likes to do his little celebrations, I'm gonna turn the camera on for this. Yeah. If we could actually get a legitimate corner to go along with a lot of the pieces, we got a lot of depth and things in secondary, and so I think if we can get a legit corner in there, if that option's there, I would make that move. O-line is absolutely, how I feel about that as the number one priority outside of quarterback. But if our guy is not there at 2, I think we should, and if we do potentially trade back, I want us to go corner. I want us to lock down those corners because we got A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. We got, CeeDee Lamb and potentially Robert Woods?
The Giants?
No, he's not Giants. I don't know who I know they had another guy. But then, I was talking about for Dallas, not Robert Woods. Who's the guy that came from the Texans, from the Cowboys?
Cooks?
T.Y. Hilton. No.
What? T.Y. Hilton? No. I don't know who.
Cooks. Brandon Cooks. Cooks. That's who I was talking about. I don't have my computer next to me. Forgive me. Yeah, but seeing as there's a number of wide receivers, with the exception of the Giants. I don't think Giants have anybody right now.
They don't right now, but they might have, Malik Neighbors.
Exactly. I didn't even think about that. But but that's where I want to hit. But where are you going from here? Because for me, the next pick was linebacker, and we don't need that at all now. So where are you going after this?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, you're bringing to light the fact that our depth chart at corner is Forbes, it's St. Juice, it's a free agent signing named Michael Davis. Nothing about him with the Chargers.
Nothing. Yeah.
And, we got Quan Martin that can play a little bit of the nickel, but he also may be playing safety. So we need somebody to come in here that can step up and play, that can contribute. I mean, Christian Holmes is the next guy in there, and he can't. I don't know who James Pierre is. He came from the Steelers, and then I know we did get another guy from Dallas, Noah Igbinoghene. I can't.
I applaud you for trying.
Yeah, he's a special teams guy. We need someone who can get on the field, and you're right. And so I think corner really is our next fragile position. If it's not at 36, at 40, or it needs to be at the top of the first pick of the third round that we have, that we really do address this, because we need somebody who can play. The next position I'm looking at is, and I didn't think going in that I would really be this high, but is wide receiver.
Yep.
And the only reason it's a step down from corner is the fact that we do have 2 established starters right now in Terry and Jahan. But after that, we've got my guy, newly signed Olamide Zaccheaus, who's a slot guy. We've got Jamison Crowder, who you and I love, but he's older and he's a slot guy. And then we have Special Brown, who hasn't produced in his time to be counted on. So we've got 2 guys out there on our roster of receiver that we really could depend on. And receivers become a much bigger need than I honestly, looking into the offseason, really thought. I figured, maybe 3rd round, maybe 4th round, we go look for somebody. But we really may need to be looking in that 2nd round or that top of the 3rd as to someone who can come in and contribute right away to help us out. Also from the fact that I think he's going to bounce back, but Jahan did not have a good sophomore season.
Yep. Yeah.
And we just lost the other productive receiver in Curtis Samuel. So we have a need at pass catcher.
Yeah. And that's something. Now, we're not going to get the Roma Dunzeys or the Malik Neighbors, you know what I mean,
right,
or any of these real top tier guys, but we definitely need some pieces, some threats, because even more like it, and I 100% agree on Jahan. Just from what we got that first year, we got it was so let down in the second year, and that part just killed me. But then the other side to that is that we're finally kind of getting off our fan horse and coming to the realization that Terry around the league is not really considered a number one, like a
No.
feared number one. Nobody, like I was talking to my buddy, the Eagles fan, and he was like, "Yo, I love Terry. I love the guy, but I ain't scared of him. I'm not worried about him for nothing." And he was telling me that he wasn't feeling Slay and Bradbury. So he's saying even with struggling guys that Terry's not somebody that puts in fear. When you look at him on the schedule, oh, we got Terry coming up.
Yeah.
It don't fear him. And
No.
Terry normally towards Philly, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and we're going to discuss, potentially filling that a little bit later. But for me, yeah, this to me is something that we need to have an eye on all throughout. As soon as we get the quarterback, we need to start having an eye on this position because Diami didn't do it for me. I'm done on that bandwagon with him. You got James Crowder, like you said, can be a slot, but let's be honest. His main goal is to be our special teams guy. He's our return guy, and we want him, key for that. And then your guy, Zacchaeus, I mean, you've liked him. I've always seen him. I've seen what he can do. I mean, 1 or 2 years, I've maybe got him on a flyer in fantasy, and maybe he's done a couple things when he had Matt Ryan, right? He played that long ago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, he's definitely a piece, but at this point, until I see otherwise, he's a Byron Pringle for me. You know what I mean? It's not somebody
Right.
that I'm just like, okay, this is the guy I want in mind. So this is definitely a spot for me at wide receiver. And honestly, and I'll pair this, I'll just go pass catcher because wide receiver and tight end. Because if you look at tight end, you got Zach Ertz. Now, I don't know about you, Will, but I don't think Zach Ertz is going to play. He's going to play 100% of the snaps in 17 games.
Right.
I mean, do you think? Right. You know what I mean?
No.
So I think, and we got after that, we got Bates, we got Cole Turner, who we still haven't seen him take off. Rodgers. We need another guy at that position to maybe, if we don't address the wide receiver, maybe we get a playmaker over here that can really learn under an Ertz and play. So, yeah, tight end I like as well.
Yeah. No, tight end is a concern of mine, and I know I fully believe we're going to address it. I don't know if we'd see it happen in the third round or if it's going to be a little later. And part of it is, we do have Rodgers coming back from injury, and they really liked him, but that was the previous coaching staff. So all bets are off now. I kind of start to look into in that third round, looking at a developmental pass rusher. They signed Dorrance Armstrong. He's going to be a 3-down pass rusher. We signed Dante Fowler Jr. to be a 3rd-down specialist, come in there to just basically go after the quarterback. We've got Cleveland Farrell, who's a little bit more of your run stopper. KJ Henry's on the team as a rookie from last year, developmental piece, F.A. Abada. But I think this is where you can go get some type of piece that you can start rotating in to potentially take over as a starter next year, or at least be part of your rotation. So I may put defensive end higher than tight end as a need. But you're absolutely right. Tight end is not a good depth chart for us at all.
Yeah. And Edge is right there behind, right there with me. I don't want to wait too far down the line. I mean, if we don't trade up and we could potentially pick one with, one of these top 100 picks that we have, I think that could definitely be beneficial because, like you said, we haven't replaced at least a Montez Sweat. Maybe we could say we've replaced Chase Young just because his production really wasn't that much, but we haven't replaced what Montez has done. So we're going to need to replace those guys. So yeah, I definitely like that. And for me, if they went higher with Edge, if they focused on maybe getting that part of the defense set earlier, I wouldn't have an issue with it. Again, it's one of those things, like you said, trusting Peters and Quinn and all those guys that they know what they want and, they're ready for that. But I am glad, like I said before, that we're not even we don't have to worry about linebacker because we got, 3, maybe 4, because Jeremy Chin, what is he on the depth chart? I've heard he's moving to linebacker.
Strong safety. But I think they're going to play him up. Well, so let me ask you this, because going into, February, January, we were talking so much, maybe a little bit of March, we loved North Carolina State's Peyton Wilson. Are we saying right now that linebacker is further down on the needs list, that we're not going that high for, basically Bobby Wagner's replacement?
Well, so, I mean, it really depends on what we would have to, because if we don't have to trade back, look, like you said it, I'm big on NC State linebacker Peyton Wilson. I mean, the guy has speed, the guy has the ability. I love what he brings to the table. I think we need other things more, but if he's there, it's one of those where if he's there, and maybe we don't have the linebacker we want, maybe some of those top corners are off the table, I absolutely say we take a flyer on him because of what you said with the Bobby Wagner only being a 1-year deal. That's another reason why I do kind of prioritize a little tight end a little bit more, because Ertz is also on 1-year deal. So essentially, we're hoping that we get a full season from him, but with both of them. But if we don't, who is the next up? Now, at least for Wagner, you got Frankie Lavu, and then Jeremy Chin if he comes in, and then who is the other linebacker we got?
Lavu, Wagner, Jamin Davis. We signed Anthony Pittman. I don't know who this guy is, and a guy Michael Walker. I don't know who that guy is.
No. Okay, never mind. Yeah, but it's not as. Oh, with that being said, then we do need a. No, yeah, that's right. Because I had my 4, which would go to another question we have later. My 4 is Jameis on the outside, Bobby and Frank Lavu on the inside, and then maybe a Jeremy Chin on the outside if they bring him down for linebacker if we ran 4. So, so that's why for me, it would be good, but it's one of those where it's like for quarterback, you want the quarterback to sit for a year. Are we going to hit him to have Willis sit for a year and then maybe throw him in rotation? We could do that. And if he's there, I want him. But I see what you're saying, though. What are your thoughts?
I think we're at the point now where someone like a Peyton Wilson's a luxury selection, and we have more priority picks.
Yeah. And that's it.
Yeah.
So outside of this, for me, mainly, obviously, O-line. I love my line. So, after we go, hopefully, early and get one, maybe we could see what we can get in the 3rd or the 4th, or maybe we can see what we can get down the line. Maybe we can get a Ricky Stromberg again, something like that, and maybe, things play out where he actually plays and doesn't get hurt.
I want a Zach Zinter.
Yeah.
Go crazy.
That's another one, because he's not going to play. He's not going to be able to play this year, correct?
You'd have to have Alex on that. I don't know.
Yeah. Because if I'm not mistaken, he's the one who got hurt at the end of the year. I think he tore his ACL in the Ohio State game.
Right.
So we'll see. But to your point, yes, because he's one of those guys that we know the caliber, we know his pedigree and his hard work. It's just seeing if he's going to come back. We just know we're not going to have him this year. But I love that pick. I love getting him. It's going to be interesting to see where these guys go, because you and I were doing mock drafts, all through, January, February, March, and who do we see all the time? Connor Beebe. You know what I mean? The guy, the Kansas State guy, and we're like, oh man, he's in the 5th round. And it's like, will he really drop that low?
Right.
So we really don't know, but that O-line is definitely what I want. It's towards the later end of the draft, that O-line and maybe depth on D-line and edge and stuff like that. But that's it for me. Yeah.
I was going to say, I mean, I'm totally fine with, the second pick that we make really needs to be solidifying at left tackle. But I don't mind if sometime in the 3rd we go back 3rd or 4th and grab another tackle as someone to groom, because, like we've said, Cornelius Lucas he's going on year 3 of being our swing tackle, which is great, but he's in his mid-30s. And Andrew Wiley, obviously, they've decided to leave him out there right tackle, and we'll find out if he's in year 2 on our team of still a problem. And if that's the case, then we need to be getting somebody who can replace him. So I certainly think we still have a depth concern along the offensive line, even if you draft a left tackle with your second pick.
Yeah. So Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what direction they kind of go in with it, and what they prioritize. Because, like we said, we've seen kind of the direction they've gone in the draft, but maybe they didn't get enough linebackers. Maybe they want more running backs. Who, you know what I mean? Like, maybe that's where they focus their attention. So we really don't know what direction they'll go, with the exception of potentially of quarterback at one. We know they know they want quarterback, and then what comes after, hopefully, is line. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yep. Yep.
We'll see.
Dun, 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 dun.
Let's go. The Washington Commanders. There it is.